Hey y'all, it's Matt Fouch here. Thank you for watching this video. I've had several people of late message me or in conversation have said to me that they didn't know that I sang. So I wanted to let you all know before you watch this interview that I sing with a group called Legacy 5, and I also do some solo music. So in the description below, you can click on the links to listen to my solo music. You can also go to mattfouch.com and you can go to legacy5.com to check out the music that I am a part of. Thank you all for watching this. Hey Philip, how are you, man?
I'm great, brother. How are you?
I'm doing well, doing well. You and I were just discussing before we started the recording just about the things that have been going on in the world, in our lives. And I know that you guys have been off since about the same time in March as what Legacy 5 has been off. So thanks for taking time to do this, man. What has it been like just spending time with your baby, with your child, with your wife? And everything. And I see you're in the studio. So, man, what have you been doing over the last few months?
Well, man, I'll tell you what, I've been asked this question a lot by just several people. And because, same with you, I mean, they see us as kind of on the go all the time. They see pictures of a show there, they see pictures of a show there. And, it's just one city after another. All of a sudden, everybody's just forced to halt, So I honestly, when people ask me, oh, wow, how are you doing? It's so different for you. I'm like, yeah, it's different, but I'll be honest, it's been a wonderful experience in terms of just being forced to just take a step back and really just gain perspective on not only your life, but, priorities too.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, I have a new son. He's 5 months this coming week. So, and of course that's gone by in a blink of an eye. But it's just been so great to be home and be able to see his little, what seemed like daily milestones, and then, obviously spend time with my wife and my little family and just, create a few traditions, I guess. And again, gain perspective on your priorities. And then, the Lord's really taking care of us as I know he has you guys. And,
yeah,
I'm thankful. I'm thankful for the forced time off, as it were.
Yeah. Well, what's your fate? You're talking about, 5-month-old being around the house and, been there. I'm sure everybody watching or most everybody has been there, but what's been your favorite part of being a dad so far through this stage up to 5 months old? Because there's a lot left to come still. But what's been your favorite part of the first 5 months?
Well, man, just watching it, just kind of honestly, just kind of figuring things out daily. I mean, because it's my wife and I's first. So, I mean, we all had our preconceived notions before the child was here. And then, you figure out which ones that, okay, I guess I had the right idea before that. And then the other ones, throw that out the trash. Yeah, that wasn't right.
Yeah.
But man, it's just been fun to just learn the day-to-day stuff and just develop, I guess, your mindset as a parent as opposed to a husband only. Like I said, the little milestones daily, it just seemed like, one day it's like, okay, he's kind of settling in. I think he's finally found his groove. And the next day he starts sucking his thumb constantly and hasn't stopped. So it's all those little things that you're like, okay,
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming, but man, he's just a great little kid, as anybody would say about their first child, but he's just a great little guy. And seeing that little guy smile every day is probably my favorite part. Yeah. I tell you all that to say, that's my favorite part.
Yeah, that's awesome. And like I said, we've all been there. We've all had kind of those little things. I mean, and the same thing happened, for me, like the preconceived ideas of what is this going to be like, how it's going to happen. We've all had those experiences. It's part of being a parent. So I'm glad everything's going well with that. But what has a typical day look like for you during this time of no concerts? I like I said earlier, I see the studio stuff there. So do you have your own studio that you can tell folks about, or what have you been doing?
Yeah, so I do have a studio. My studio is called Solid Sound Studios. I live just on the east side of Cincinnati, about 20 minutes outside of downtown. And that's funny you asked that, man. Another thing that people have been asking me is like, oh man, has it been boring? Not at all. Not at all. like talking about my child. So there's all that. And then, but I've been working almost constantly in the studio on one project or another, some stuff just for leisure, just cause I can, frankly. But then, a lot of other projects I've worked on 3 or 4 albums, and, whether it's mixing, doing vocals for it, recording vocals for it. And in the meantime, I've done a few just for fun band covers with some buddies of mine of some songs just to pass the time, because a lot of friends who have their own perspective little studio spaces and play their own instruments, and we'll just kind of record each other's section and throw it together in a mix for whatever song we're doing. And
Cool.
so things like that. And but talking about daily, what a day looks like, this, when you're gone for a while, that honeydew list can kind of pile up, and before you know it, the honeydew list has come to the surface. So several of those, and so again, I haven't been bored.
What have you missed the most about not being on the road for the last 3 or 4 months?
Man, probably just interaction with people. For those who don't know, I am the production manager for the Collingsworth family. So apart from singing, I handle all the production of the live shows. We do that. It entails audio, video, lighting, all the anything that we might or carry with us or what have you. So the interaction on that side, for those who know me, I mean, that's a big part of my life. I love those elements of a live show, and always have. And so I've kind of devoted a lot of my career to that, as well as post-production in terms of the studio. But I think that work is probably what I missed the most. I love the interaction with people, and also obviously the artist side of things is something I love as well. But there's a conglomeration of things that I miss, but just the interaction, with the folks at each venue and things like that. The tech side of things, as far as the tech corresponding and things like that. I've always been a big fan of it, and just the relationships you form over the years. There's been countless times where I go to and advance the show months before it's going to happen, and someone's given, and our manager has given me all my contact information, and I'll be like, well, I don't think I know this. I have this phone number, and I pull up my phone. Wait, I do know that person, because I've worked with them before. You just create a library, a small little database. So it's been quite a while since I've had to do that. So but again, it's been a joy to have this almost literal step back, because once it gets kicked back up, I'm sure there'll be a time where we'll be wanting to come back up for air. So
that's right. And I agree with you. I think once everything opens back up, so many groups are just going to be hitting it so hard out there on the road, trying to, I don't know that we're going to be able to make up for lost time, but at least are doing our best to try to make up for what we've missed over the last
Sure. Absolutely.
So we all know what it looks like. Those that are watching that go to the concerts, they know what it looks like when they walk in the room and you've got the lights and the sound set and everything. They know what it looks like during the program when they're watching and experiencing it and everything. But most people have no idea what it looks like from when you start getting ready for that concert that morning. Walk us through a typical solo concert day for the Collingsworth family and what your day all entails as the guy that's in charge of the tech, the sound, the video, all of that.
Sure. Well, usually, at least currently, we'll load in 11 a.m. in the morning for a 7 o'clock show. We bring we bring a good sized production for our show. At least for currently, we in the coming months we'll be traveling with 2 buses, pulling 2 trailers, so that will give us room to expand. But currently, we travel with 11 adults, and then my oldest sister Brooklyn has 2 children that currently travel along as well. Now, my son has yet to even experience anything like that, because he was born on the 31st of January, and we did maybe 3 at the most weekends after he was born, and then shut down. So he knows nothing of that, at least yet. But anyway, so quite a few people on one bus, and then we'll roll in about 11 a.m. To a venue, wherever that may be, and just begin the day, which usually is, and there's a lot of prep work leading up to even the arrival on the day of the show, because there's a lot of logistics and details to take care of, things like power consumption, local techs, local labor, whatever we might need for that particular venue. And then we just go at it, because there's already been like I said, a lot of plans laid in place, and unloading the trailer. We do carry a full-size grand piano with us. Some might wonder why. Some days I do too, but but we do. We carry a large Yamaha C7 grand piano with us, acoustic, not a shell with a keyboard in it. It is actually an acoustic grand piano. So as you can imagine, quite a lightweight piece of equipment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so that, along with full audio, merchandise, you name it. And then the process begins, usually from about 11 a.m. to when the trailer door opens, to start unloading gear, to about 2 o'clock. Elements are moving, and moving parts are doing their part in the process. And then about 3 o'clock, we'll all get together on the stage for a sound check. Everybody just to make sure they're comfortable. And then usually a sound check for us is a quick, yeah, sounds good. And then we commence a rehearsal, whether we want to or not. So that usually lasts from about 3 to 4 o'clock. And 4 o'clock is when we usually break for dinner. And then a piano tuner will take over to tune the grand for the evening. And then from about whenever we finish dinner till showtime, that's everybody's small window of downtime to whether it's just kind of decompress from the crew, whether it's decompressing from the work, or if it's just the singers getting ready for getting themselves mentally prepared for that evening. So a little bit of downtime, and then 7 o'clock shows. Usually for us, I'm not sure about you guys, but usually for us, about a 2.5 hour full length, including an intermission or what have you. And then do it all in reverse afterwards. Bring it all down, and usually the trailer door shuts about 11:30 in the night, and then that's one day.
And then you go to bed, reset, and do it all again tomorrow at the new city.
Usually, that's correct. Yeah.
Man, you've been singing with your family your whole life, pretty much, and I don't know. I think you guys were you already traveling and singing when you were born, or did it start shortly after?
Not in the format we are now. We didn't, I was born in 1994, and we didn't start doing it in this format until 2000. But we did kind of, I guess, have the niche already, as far as my parents sang together in the occasional camp meeting revival, for those who remember those type of things. Right off the bat when they got married. So, and then I think, don't ask me the year they were married, because I don't remember. But soon after, my older sister was born, and then Courtney, myself, and then Olivia, my youngest sister. There's 4 siblings, and of course, we all came along. And by the year 2000, we were doing this full time. My dad quit the job that he had, and they just went headfirst into it. And we are now in our 21st year of doing it full time. So, wow, I guess you can say the rest is history.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so I was asking that because basically, since you're 5 or 6 years old, you've been traveling full time singing. Yeah. So you've pretty much grown up on the road. I mean, as far as in what you and your family have been doing. But what is one thing that now, as a man, as an adult, with a family, I know that I'm sure mindset has changed a lot over the years for you as you've gone through the transition from being a child and going to singing to being a teenager, now being an adult. What is something that has changed for you mentally? Something maybe you've seen that you didn't realize before, as you have matured through the years?
Pertaining to growing up on the road,
yeah.
I guess what you mean.
What you do for with the group and stuff.
Yeah, well, obviously, with more age for me came more responsibility, and things like that, and which I was up for totally. Just an appreciation for all the moving elements, I guess you could say. That when you're young, you just kind of are, in my case, very young, 6 years old when we started doing this, at least full time. And obviously, then it did not look like it does now. Thank God it doesn't look like that anymore. But as far as the meager elements of which we had to work with, but as things progress, you really find yourself looking back and saying, "Wow, God has brought us a long way." From like I said, the meager scenarios we found ourselves in, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with those, but everybody wants to progress from where they start to another position, and God has really blessed us to be able to, I guess have an impact on a good size scale that we've just been more than grateful to even be a part of, and really the mindset is really just growing up from being small and just, this is what we do, I guess. And to kind of taking it on in a different capacity as an adult, early teen or early adult. And, you really find yourself just, in my experience, you really take it on for yourself as opposed to it just being, something you've been dragged into. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in the sense that you grew up in it and, you're a child.
Right.
I'm a child in that sense. And that's what my parents did. So we went along. And then, now looking at fast forwarding to today where everybody, it's everybody's job nowadays. It's now, it's just as much a job as anybody would have in terms of everybody's sense of responsibility with it. And, if we take it just as seriously as we would as anybody else. And, you find yourself as like you said, maturing through it. Yeah. I found myself really taking, not only because I was given more responsibility, but I personally took much more, it held more weight for me as I got older, because I realized all the elements of that, that really, were a part of it, not only from the ministry perspective and the spiritual perspective, but the logistical perspective. And that's for those who know me, they know that I I favor that particular part of the work. So to answer your question, my mindset changed as I learned more and more and more about the inner workings of what we do, and time came for me to really to be able to take a much bigger responsibility, a much bigger role. And I was thrilled to do it because I was able to comprehend that, it's bigger than, it's bigger than you think at first, I guess.
Yeah. And what I hear you saying, and what I love about it is that, when you're a child, it's like, this is mom and dad's thing. Yeah. I'm doing it because I'm part of the family and this is what we do as a family. But as you've gotten older, you've made it part of who you are. It's become what you do, what you love, what your passion is. And you found throughout that journey, those areas within what you guys do that you gravitate towards, that you love, that you enjoy dealing with. And then you've made that your own as part of the entire process of what you guys present. And so I love it when that happens, because, what you don't like to see is a kid or someone that's grown up in it, but yet they never latch on to a part of it, of what their family does and make it their own. It's just always kind of just floating there, and maybe they end up doing something else. And if that's what God has for them, that's great.
That's great. Yeah.
You love to see the family be able to keep the sound together, keep the group together. And as the kids come up, they make this part of what they love and this part of what they love, and they make it their own. And it blossoms into something beautiful. And that's what I hear you saying in that, like, you've taken the parts that you're interested in and that you enjoy and love and made it your own as part of the whole thing. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, man, it's been a beautiful thing to see how God has morphed this over the years. And it's been just really cool to be a part of. And we're not done, but You know,
That's right.
you don't know
Well,
what the Lord has. You don't know what the Lord
for
has.
sure.
So,
Man, we got just a couple more minutes. Tell me quickly, if you can, what has God been speaking to you during the last few months? Has God been showing you anything in your life, or any verse that you've attached to, or a song, a lyric from something?
well, I'll say this first. My life verse, my favorite verse, is Proverbs 3 verses 5 and 6, and it says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding, lean not on what you know, but in all your ways acknowledge Him, give Him His credence, and He will direct your path." And as I've mentioned a couple times, this this time that's forced us to literally step back and almost quit, halt, pause, as many people have described it. Um, I have gained a lot of perspective over it. God has given me a lot of perspective, I believe, to not only bring priorities to the front. My wife and I, in the middle of all this, started a 40-day prayer journal. It's a prayer course that we have just by Rick Warren that has been fantastic. Other things, I've been, I'll be honest, I've been reading through the Bible even at a more rapid pace than I would before. So I've just enjoyed, again, God has taught me through this that I'll pause there and say, I usually move at about 1,000 miles an hour. In my head, if I'm not doing it physically, I'm at least doing it in my head.
Right.
And he's kind of slowed me down and mentally, and I've really appreciated it and really enjoyed it in many ways. Like I said, whether it's, settle down and don't try to do so much, or if it's just look around and get perspective, and bring your priorities to the front, whether it's family, whether it's time with God, whether it's whatever it is. That's something I've really gained through this process and this time off, and I've loved it.
That's awesome, man. Thank you for taking time today and sharing. I love hearing from your heart, and I know that the folks watching do as well. Tell them all where they can find out about your studio, and then where they can go to find out about the family.
Well, Solid Sound Studios, like I said, we're located in South Cincinnati, Ohio. I have Facebook, Instagram, just look those up. And the family is also on Facebook, Instagram, the Collingsworth Family, and of course, www.thecollingsworthfamily.com, and you'll find all the information all about what's going to happen. Stay tuned, because sometimes we don't even know.
That's right. We don't know. We're just relying on Him to guide the steps each and every day, looking to Him. And I'm encouraging everybody watching to do the same thing. We're living the faith, man, putting it one foot in front of the other with God's help and direction, and trusting on Him to direct our paths. Phillip, thanks for your time today, man. I appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure, brother. It's good to see you again.
You too.